All right, folks, welcome back to another very disappointing episode. This one is going to cover my trespassing and guilty verdict from the Mesa City Plaza in Mesa, Arizona. Now, what you're going to see is the subsequent video that was filmed on my GoPro while we were in the plaza building and not doing anything illegal. And then you're going to hear an audio file from my trial on how they found me guilty of trespassing in a public building. Now, there's two Supreme Court cases, one that was affirmed and one that was thrown out based on trespassing, and it was older cases. One of them was trespassing at a jail. They were on the easement to a gate at a jail that was public property, but it is not in use by the public, so it's not accessible to the public, which means you can be charged with trespassing there. That does not apply to the Mesa City Plaza. I was in a public building that is designated for public use, and I only went to public use areas. I never went to a restricted area. I never entered a locked door. I never went past no authorized only sign. I never went past any kind of stuff like that. But I was found guilty of trespassing. Check it out. All right, so real quick, what you see on your screen is a county assessor's map of the location that we are at. The owner of this property is the city of Mesa. Now we understand that I'm on public property. We need to find records. Where do we go for that?
Where do we go for records requests? Records requests for like city records and stuff like that. City clerk's office. Yeah.
What kind of records are you want to send?
That's for us to request. That's for us to request.
You should have a records department, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, officer.
Are we in the wrong building or something?
Like PD records?
City records.
City records?
Yes.
Now you'll notice on your screen there's a sign that says photo ID required for each entry. Now we are in a public place and I haven't entered into a secure area and I haven't gone anywhere where I would need to identify myself. This is open to the public and you do not need to give up your Fourth Amendment to identify when you enter a public building. That just doesn't make any sense and there's no case law supporting that sign. Now pay very close attention to this sign. This sign and the guy's orders to not go up those stairs on your right is ultimately what they convicted me on. This is a public building and this sign has no legal application in this place. I can go up those stairs if other members of the public can go up those stairs. And other members of the public do use those stairs. The economic department is located up those stairs. This guy at the desk in trial admitted that he doesn't ID everybody to go up the stairs, but only does it to people that he doesn't visually know, which is arbitrary and not something that you can enforce with trespassing.
Down that hall on the left side.
What other forms? Like I just asked for the trespass enforcement.
Yeah, that's all I want.
Okay, you would have to request that online, and
Well, we could do it here in person too.
we have, everything's online now.
Well, that's assuming that we have a computer. You're supposed to be able to come in and request things in person, like with a piece of paper and a pencil.
Yeah, that program's changed years ago, but there's.
So if a
computers at
homeless
the
person wants to
library.
come in here and request something, you're going to tell them to go to the library. Where does he get it printed out at? Here?
And whatever department's responsible for the records, they're the ones that will process the request. It used to be that one department took in all the requests and then dealt them out to the other departments. Well, that wasn't working, so now they have an online system where all the departments are broken down, you select what you want, and it's all done online. So it automatically will go to the right department, so there's no delay in getting that information.
Okay. Do you happen to have the trespass enforcement program logs, not logs, but the law itself on hand that we could review at the moment?
No, we don't.
No?
No, that's not even our department. We're the city clerk's office, that would probably fall under police.
I mean, it's something that's, partnered through the department, the police department and the city. So I would assume that you could get both that there or here.
No. It'd all have to be researched, and that takes time, so I have the website that you can go to submit your public records request. Since you guys have phone, you can go online and look up the Mesa Arizona's website, and that's the exact page, that address that will take you right to it.
Okay. And your name is?
Anne Marie.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any hard copies of the public records request?
No, we don't. It's the program changed.
All right, we're back.
So because we had one department doing it for the entire city, it wasn't working well.
I think she's bullshit.
Because it was such a
Yeah,
large
for sure.
request.
I'm just going to cruise around anyway.
It's all set up online, and each department is listed there to just select which
Go upstairs, sir.
Why not?
If you read the sign,
All right.
past that point,
Said,
employees go upstairs, sir.
says what?
Only employees go upstairs, you have to check in.
It says customers, and it says check in. This is a public building. I don't have to check in. All right, again, guys, this is a public building. It is a limited public forum, which is subject to time, place, and manner restrictions. Time being, is the building open and accessible to the public at the time that I'm there? Yes. Place. Am I in an area that the public can access? Not including a restricted area that's locked, a gated area, a fenced area, or an area with a security guard set up in front of it that's also gated, fenced, locked, and secured, so the public can't go there. I didn't go anywhere there. I was in publicly accessible places. And then manner. My manner in which I was there was totally reasonable. I wasn't causing a disturbance. I wasn't smoking in the building. I wasn't playing loud music. I wasn't screaming. I wasn't arguing with anybody. I was simply recording and documenting the interior and the publicly accessible areas of the building. And then this guy's going to have a problem with me.
To go upstairs, you do.
Says who?
It says the sign right here.
Oh, is there an ARS or something attached to that that makes it legally obligating
Are you
to...
Mr. Ruff?
You guys check that out.
Are you Mr. Ruff? Christopher Ruff, right?
Check that out. Famous. You're famous now, buddy. Yeah, so you know I don't need to sign anything.
Well, there you go.
No, I don't. So a couple funny things to note here. These ladies that are about to come out and look slightly concerned at my presence on the stair for some reason came to court and testified against me that my presence was alarming and disturbing them because I had a GoPro strapped to my chest, and that's not something they're normally used to seeing. Yeah, they literally said that in court. So that was something that they thought they could use against me for whatever reason. You know, a GoPro and somebody filming is enough to disturb somebody's peace now, at least in a courtroom and to a judge, right? Another thing that's important to note, on the side to my right on the railing is a sign that says interested and then the store. Now, this is a Mesa Community College arts initiative to sell art that was created by a collective of artists at the Mesa Community College. Now, why would there be things for sale and signs saying interested and directing you to buy these things up on a restricted area where the public's not allowed to go if they're selling things to the public? That really doesn't make any sense to me. And on top of all of that, this is the Economic Development Department. This isn't National Homeland Security Database Center where they're guarding all kinds of important stuff. There is absolutely no reason that a member of the public cannot go up to the Economic Development Department. I don't even understand where they're getting their logic in trespassing, but pay attention, because the trial's coming up. Did you guys see this shit? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not talking to you. I'm live stream audience, sorry. So this is the Office of Economic Development. They're saying that I need to sign something to come up here and film in here. So I just want to come up here and prove a point that I don't need to. Well, I done did it. Actually, I can go upstairs.
All right, you guys, now.
Says Mesa, all visitors must sign in.
I'm Officer Brown. My badge number is 20650.
Am I being trespassed?
Yes.
Under threat of arrest?
Yes.
Yes, awesome.
Gotta go.
Thank you, sir. Damn, did you guys hear that? Trespassed again. Mesa City Plaza. They got 4 cops coming to talk to us. What does that tell you?
You the sergeant in charge?
That's a lieutenant over there.
Oh, there's a lieutenant here too?
Yeah. So we didn't do anything illegal.
You're going to jail for trespassing.
Jesus Christ.
Go ahead and give him your camera.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not.
And another little caveat that I'm going to give you, which is very interesting. These people charged me with ARS 13-1502A1, which is entering or remaining on any real property unlawfully. The problem with that is Mesa City Plaza is not real property. This is government owned. Real property is commercial or private property. They charged me with the wrong crime, but I still got convicted of it. Crazy. Here comes the trial.
Would you please state your name for the record? Jason Morrow. Jason, where do you work? How long have you worked there?
In the security capacity, I was there for about 4 years.
Okay. Is that the capacity you were working in back on October 6, 2021?
Yes.
Back on October 6, 2021, at around 11:30 a.m., did you come into contact with an individual who eventually became known to you as Christopher Ruff?
Yes.
Do you see him here in the courtroom? If so, would you just point him out in this fact his brain?
You see it on the defense side of the fracture.
Your Honor, would the record reflect that the guard has identified the defendant?
Record certified.
How did you first become aware of the defendant on this day?
I noticed 3 individuals walked in. Mr. Ruff had like a phone out in front of him. He was with a thin nail and a heavy set nail. The thin nail asked to see city records. I tried to clarify like what records he was looking for, just in case he was looking for some specific like police records. I could direct him to the police station. And then Ruff eventually said, clerk's office, right? So then I.
Sorry, you said what?
The clerk's office.
Okay, thank you.
So then I called the city clerk to do what I normally do, and I advised them to do the gentleman out here that I would like city records. And then normally she comes out and speaks with me.
So in this instance, did she come out and talk to the defendant?
Yes.
What happened after that conversation?
Ann came out. They were just kind of walking around the lobby. Initially, they kind of went towards HR, and then they came back to me. But and came out, they kind of stood around her and asking her questions, and it looks like they were recording her. I stayed at the security desk, I couldn't hear exactly.
When you say it appeared that they were recording her, what did that look like? I mean, what were they recording it with?
I saw something strapped to his chest. I don't know if it was a GoPro or something strapped to his chest, and normally when people walk around like this, it's kind of like a emotional sort of controlling. It's something one of the phone.
In order for the record, let the record reflect that the witness was holding his hands up like he's holding his cell phone. Is that what the defendant was doing at the time?
I believe he was.
But as far as him holding his cell phone up with his arms up like this, is that what he was doing?
What's that?
Sorry, as far as him holding his arms up while holding his cell phone in this manner, is that what you observed him?
Yes.
Is there, in that main lobby, is there a staircase?
Yes.
And where does that staircase go?
That staircase leads to the second floor, economic development. The second floor all the way from there is closed off. We need employee access to go there. But economic development has a door up there as well.
Okay. Now, generally, if somebody has an appointment with economic development, how does that go? Do they check in? Do they just walk straight up there? How does it go?
They check with the security desk with their ID. I call up to economic development and confirm that they have an appointment. And then depending on what economic development is doing, they may come down and swear them up, or they may say just go ahead and send them up.
And at that point, I assume you convey to the individual, okay, it's okay for you to go on.
Yes, because they identify themselves with their ID and they have some business, and the city knows about their presence there, and have an appointment.
How does somebody know that they need to present their ID and check in before just going up the stairs?
There's several signs at the security desk and at the staircase. There's a sign on each side of the staircase saying stop. It's got a stop sign. It says all business registered at the security desk.
And you mentioned that there were also signs at the check-in desk as well?
Correct. The signs there. There's one in front of the desk. There's a sign on the door. Is it a building?
Okay, so let me back up. So you say there's a sign on the door of the building as well. Is there a sign on the door entering on the north side of the building?
Yes. So from the parking lot, there's like a sticker on the glass.
And when you say sticker, do you know how big it is?
I can show you my hands. Like maybe it's like that would be fun.
Okay, so we're not talking like a little 2-inch square.
It's like a foot by 8 inches or something like that.
That door that sign is on, is that the same door that the defendant entered into that day?
Yes.
Okay. So he walks through the door that had the sign on. Is that correct?
Yes.
When you step in through that door, is the check-in desk directly in front of you?
Yes.
And on that desk, are there signs that talk about needing to check in with your ID?
Yes.
And then if you walk past that check-in desk and those signs, are there also signs on that staircase that goes up to economic development?
There's a sign on each side of the staircase.
Oh, so there's actually 2 signs to the staircase, one on each side.
You have to walk through between them.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to show you, and I apologize, judges, I'm making loose. Okay, I'm showing you I'm showing you what has now been marked as State's Exhibit number 1. Do you recognize what that's a photo of?
Yes, this is the sign on the south side of the building in the glass.
So that's the sign on the south side.
North side, sorry.
Oh, okay.
The north side where the parking lot is moving.
Is that the sign that was on the door where the defendant entered the building?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that that sign reads, "Welcome to Mesa City Plaza. Visitors, please register at the security desk."
Yes.
We're going to take a move to appendix as a thousand evidence. Judge?
No, Your Honor.
Thanks, Ron. I'm now showing you its equipment surfaces. I'm now showing you what has been marked as exhibit number 2. You recognize what that's a photo of?
Yes.
What is that a photo of?
That's a sign that's posted to the security desk.
So this is one of the signs that's actually on the security desk.
Yes.
So after you walk through the door with the sign, is this sign visible on the desk?
I think that one is in the rear of the desk, so on the south side of the desk.
Is there something similar on the north side of the desk?
Yes.
And you agree with me that this sign says, "Welcome to Mesa City Plaza. Please register at the security desk."
Correct.
Then it's taken move to admit exhibit
There's two
number.
of those.
Sorry?
Two of those, one on each side of the south side of the desk.
There's two of them, two on the south side of the desk.
Correct.
And well, how many are on the north side of the desk?
I don't know if that particular sign might be a different thing.
Okay. During your time observing the defendant, as he was present in the lobby, walking on City Plaza, did he ever go to the south side of the desk?
Yes, that's where he spoke with the clerk, the city clerk and clerk.
Okay. And when he went to the south side of the desk, would this sign have been visible?
Yes.
And it's taken to admit exhibit number 2 of evidence. Any objection?
No objection.
Thanks, James Porter. I'm showing you what has been marked. Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 3. You recognize that photo?
Yes.
Okay. What do you recognize that to be a photo of?
This is photo ID required for each entry, and that's facing the north entrance.
So this signage faces the north side. When somebody walks in from the north side of the building, this is the sign they would see.
Yes.
And is there one of these? Is there more than one on the north side? Or are you not sure? Okay, that's right. We have Steve move to admit exhibit number 3 into evidence. Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
State's to be submitted. now showing you what was marked as State's Exhibit number 4. You recognize that photo?
Yes.
What do you recognize in the picture of?
The sign on the left side of the staircase.
So you said the sign on the left side of the staircase. Is there also a sign on the right side of the staircase?
Yes, it was the same sign.
Okay, so it's the exact same sign.
Correct.
So there's two identical signs on both sides of the staircase.
Yes, there's another photo up on the right side.
Okay. And now showing you exhibit number 5. Would you agree with me that that's just a closer photo of the signage that's on both sides of the stairs?
Yes.
Would you agree with me that this sign on the stairs says "Welcome to Mesa City Plaza. Stop. All visitors must sign in at the security desk. Thank you."
Yes.
The Honor, the state moved to admit exhibits 4 and 5 into evidence. Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
4 and 5 are objection. And again, for clarity's sake, that sign that says "Stop. We must check in at the security desk." That sign is on both sides at the bottom of the staircase.
Correct.
At some point during your contact with the defendant, did he approach those stairs?
Yes.
And what happened at that?
Started to go up the stairs, and I said, "Sir, you can't go up there." Kind of stopped, turned around, I got out of the security desk area. I approached the staircase at the bottom. And I said, "You can't go up there." And he said, "Why not?" I said, "There's 2 signs here, it's for employees only, if you upstairs security desk." I said, "It's a public building, I can go where I want." I said,
So let me stop you. So when you tell him he can't go up there, at some point during that conversation, he tells you it's a public building, I can go wherever I want.
"Yes."
What happened after that?
And I said, "Well, I'm telling you that you can't go up there." He asked for the ARS code.
Let me stop you for just a second. When you approach me and you have this conversation, are you dressed like you're dressed today?
No.
Okay, how are you dressed?
At the time, I was dressed in a municipal security uniform.
Which looks like what?
It's a light blue shirt with BDU pants. Have a badge, my name. Says Mesa Police, Municipal Security. I have a patch on my shoulders.
Okay. So clearly not just in normal civilian clothing.
No, I'd be pretty recognizable as security for the building.
Okay, so you have this conversation where he tells you it's a public building, I can go wherever I want. What happens at that?
Proceeds to go upstairs.
At this point, when he proceeds to go up the stairs, the minute he starts going up those stairs, is he bypassing that signage that says "Stop"?
Yes.
And you've already told him you can't go up, right?
Yes.
What happens after that?
I then get on the radio, call for a police officer. The other gentleman, 2 stayed downstairs. One was following me with the camera. I got on the radio.
So there were other gentlemen there reporting as well?
Yes, there was 2 gentlemen with him.
Okay.
But they didn't go upstairs.
So the 2 individuals that were with the defendant, did they come in with the defendant?
Yes.
They did not go up the stairs.
No.
And presumably they observed the same signage, and were they within earshot when you had your conversation with the defendant?
Yes, they were recording them.
And they never went up those stairs,
No.
but the defendant did.
Yes.
So you call for the officer. What happens after that?
I believe it was just a few minutes pass, and then the officer comes in, I quickly tell him, hey, they went upstairs, after asking not to, and then Mr. Ruff was coming down at that time.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Moreno, in your experience as the security guard for, or should I step up? Maybe it'd be easier.
Because it's so loud.
Mr. Moreno, in your capacity as the Mesa Town Plaza security officer, Are you aware of the difference between a public and a private building in regards to the laws that govern each one?
Yes.
You are familiar? So to your understanding, what is the difference if it's a public building as opposed to a private building?
The public can enter in a private building, it's not like a business, somebody owns it, it's not a government building.
Okay. And was this building, the Mesa City Plaza building, a public or private building?
The lobby, the first floor is public. So it's a public building, the first floor is open to the public.
Okay, the first floor is open to the public, correct? So the second floor and beyond would be unauthorized, is that fair?
Unless we have city business service.
Then it would be authorized, right? But unless you have city business, the second floor and beyond are the unauthorized areas, right?
Yes.
What is the purpose of having those areas be unauthorized?
Objection calls for speculation. I don't subject to governance.
You would, I can rephrase.
Just ask, do you specifically know why they're unauthorized? That's just the yes or
I'm just told where the public has access to, and that's it.
no. Why move on?
You'd agree that the offices, all the public offices, they are on the second floor and beyond, right? There's no office that is on the first floor, to safeguard, right?
There are offices on the first floor.
But when you saw Mr. Ruff enter the stairwell, from your vantage point, you could not see whether he had actually entered the second floor, and there are no offices in that stairwell throughout these three different layers, correct?
No, I couldn't see that.
Okay, so you don't know whether or not he did or did not.
I do know because I heard later on from employees up there that
It's going to be here soon, Your Honor, you know, Joe.
Okay, that's good.
So yes,
So the question is, did you later on assist the
And I'm sorry, can I ask you the question? Did you attend the board?
The question, I believe, I'll paraphrase, was whether or not you knew, right?
Correct.
Whether or not you'd gone into the offices, right?
Correct. Or whether, no, rather, are you able to confirm whether or not Mr. Ruff stepped foot on the second floor?
in total,
Correct.
eventually, yes, I heard that he did.
You heard that, but I'm saying you physically did not
I did
witness
not physically witness.
Okay, that's all I wanted to clarify. Now, the state showed you some exhibits with some signs, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall what those signs stated?
Some of them now the same. The ones near the staircase you just showed them. It said stop, please register at the security desk.
You would agree that none of the signs articulated the consequence of not stopping, if you will.
I would agree with that.
You would agree with that? So we saw a sign that says, please sign in. We saw a couple of those, you recall?
Yes.
Okay, and then we saw a sign that stated to show ID, correct? So if an individual comes into that office without an ID, are they turned away?
Generally, it really depends.
So there are instances where they're not turned away, and there are instances where they are. What is an instance where they would not be turned away, even if they don't have an ID?
Because I know who they are and I deal with them all the time on a daily basis. They have city business constantly, so I know who they are. I've seen their ID before.
So absence, you knowing who they are, if they don't have an ID, are they not allowed in the building?
They're allowed in the building.
So
Lobby is open
where
to
does that
anyone.
restriction begin?
Like I said, the first floor is open to anyone.
And again, you can't confirm that he went beyond or went onto the second floor, correct? Just to clarify.
Just the staircase and then disappeared and I can see them. I did not see them, physically see them on the second
Are there instances where somebody would come in to make a anonymous report?
floor. I didn't understand before.
Correct. If there are government entities and buildings in that building, maybe has there been an instance where somebody may want to make a complaint or a report but wishes to remain anonymous?
Objection, Romans.
Sustained. If somebody comes into this office or comes to your security desk and does not present ID to you, they're still free to roam around the first floor.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So those signs only become relevant in going to the second floor and beyond, correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, I don't think I have any further for this witness.
Right. Thank you, just briefly. When you told the defendant he couldn't go up those stairs, any indication from him that he didn't understand what you were saying?
No.
In fact, based on your previous testimony, his response was effectively, it's a public building, I can go where I want.
Yes.
I've never heard of it.
Now, due to you having worked here at this building or been assigned to this building before, do you have any knowledge whether or not this building is a public or private building?
The building is a government building with access to the public.
Okay, so it's a public building, correct?
It's a government building.
Correct. So it's not classified as a private building. Is that fair?
No, it's a government building.
So it would not be a private building. Is that correct?
It's not public in the sense that anybody can just walk in and do whatever as they please.
Correct. But anybody can be on the first floor, correct? As we've established.
To conduct business, yes.
And your only interaction with Mr. Ruff was entering, seeing him almost already down onto the first floor, and that was it. And then
He was not already almost down on the
where was he
floor.
exactly when
He
you
was
saw him?
coming from the second floor. As I came in, I watched him come from the area of the second floor, walk down the stairs, past the signage, come back onto the first floor.
Is it fair to say the layout of the stairs, you can't see the second floor from the first floor?
Correct.
So you don't know that that's where that he had actually been on the second floor and coming down. You just know he was on a part of the stairs and eventually made his way down to the first floor.
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
No, I want to. Oh, yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, Your Honor, at this time we want to make a Rule 20 motion. In this matter, as you know, the conviction of trespass in the third degree requires knowingly entering or remaining unlawfully on any real property after reasonable request by law enforcement, owner, any other person having control, prohibiting entry. Now, ARS 1501 provides the definitions for ARS 1502, which is the trespass statute. According to ARS 1501, enter or remain unlawfully means an act of a person who enters or remains on premises when the person's intent for doing so, entering or remaining, is not licensed, authorized, or otherwise privileged, except when entry is to commit theft of merchandise displayed for sale during normal business hours. Part of note is this part right here: when the premises are open to the public and when the person does not enter any unauthorized areas of the premises. Your Honor, today there were 6 witnesses put on the stand. Not one of them could testify that Mr. Ruff was in an unauthorized area. We listened to testimony from Mr. Moreno stating clearly that the first floor, they had no issue with any of the individuals, either of the three, being on the first floor, which they were. According to Mr. Moreno, who has obviously the closest knowledge and of the building and of its regulations, he stated the unauthorized areas were the second floor because of the fact that they have offices and they're safeguarding. As a public policy, it makes sense why those areas would be unauthorized. However, not a single one of the state's witnesses here today can put Mr. Ruff on the second floor, Your Honor. The burden here is on the state, and the burden is not a light one, Your Honor. It's beyond any reasonable doubt, and if we don't have any, not for Rule 20, for this, there needs to be substantial evidence of this offense. We haven't had a single witness here today testify that he was in that area, that they could guarantee, or that they saw with their own eyes that he was in that unauthorized area, Your Honor.
So let me ask you this, counsel. Do you believe that he has to be, for my consideration, do you believe that he has to be on the second floor? Do you believe that if he's told to stop and not go up the stairs by security, do you believe that he can ignore that request and continue up the stairs even though he's been advised to stop and there's signage that tells him to stop? Do you believe that he has to get to the second floor?
Your Honor, I believe that there's two issues at hand. First, nobody mentioned to him, neither the signs nor the security guard, that if he continues he'd be trespassed. That's first and foremost. None of the signs that we saw that the state put on indicated that. It said, please sign in. None of them were requests. None of them stated that there'd be a trespass violation should you not. There's also one at the very front desk saying do not bypass, but we know for a fact 3 individuals bypassed that. 1 was only charged. The only difference between what Mr. Ruff did and what his, the other individuals he were with did is that he allegedly made it to an unauthorized area, being the 2nd floor. However, nobody here today can put him on the 2nd floor. And the public policy behind that, it doesn't make sense for him being in a stairwell to have those same concerns of safeguarding and protecting the offices and the individuals that are on that floor. None of that becomes relevant unless he's on the 2nd floor, Your Honor. And if we don't have even one person here that can say with their own eyes they saw him on the 2nd floor, I believe a requirement of the trespass has not been met. One of the 2 requirements.
Do you believe if there's no signage that talks about trespass, but a security guard plainly and clearly tells you to stop, that you're not allowed to go up those stairs? Clearly and plainly tells you that. You believe he doesn't use the word trespass, or he doesn't say that he'll be trespassed, or he's committing the trespass.
I don't necessarily think that he has to be specific, Your Honor, that you will be trespassed, but I also don't think that it is clear that that the security officer was telling Mr. Ruff that him being on the stairs was an issue. I believe what the security guard was telling him or trying to convey to him is don't go to the 2nd floor. Stop. Don't go to the 2nd floor. While he was on the actual stairs, Your Honor, I don't believe that that was a concern. Because again, none of the issues that come and none of the public policy behind the trespass is relevant when he's on a stairwell. And unless we can have a single individual that actually saw him in an unauthorized area, I believe there's a huge hole in the state's case here.
Are there signs going up the stairs that tell him to stop?
Right. So to make an analogy, if somebody is walking up to a yard that says, if you enter on here, that would be trespassing. That's not letting them know that on the way up to that they're trespassing. That's letting them know that that area that they are ultimately attempting to get to, in our case, allegedly the 2nd floor, is unauthorized. And again, the law is specific when it comes to a public building as opposed to a private. We've established that this building is public. It is a government public, it's not a private building, Your Honor. So the rule, the stipulation for trespass is different in that it is only in unauthorized areas. And nobody here was able to testify that the stairwell is an unauthorized area. There seems to be no reasoning that a stairwell, none of the concerns that the state indicated are present from him entering the 2nd floor, none of that is present while he's in the stairwell. And the only witnesses we've had out of the 5-6 witnesses that the state put on, not one could definitively put him on the 2nd floor. It's just a substantial piece of the requirement for him being in the unauthorized area, Your Honor, and it's just plainly missing. I mean, if we had even one individual here say, yes, I saw him on the 2nd floor, okay, then that's something, but not one individual here, as you saw, could definitively put him on the 2nd floor, Your Honor.
So, Captain, let me see if I have your argument correct. Your argument, as you just said, if he reached the 2nd floor, that would be unauthorized, but because no one can say he reached the 2nd floor, he wasn't in an unauthorized area. Is that correct? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Hawkins?
There's signs at the bottom of the staircase for a reason. Okay, so he passed signs that clearly, 2 of them, I mean, the city could not do more. There's 2 pillars that are there just to hold these signs that say stop. Okay, you can't go up here without checking in. There's a security guard posted right there who says, stop, you can't go up there. I mean, what else could city management do to convey to people that you can't go up there? And again, here we are. The defendant did not care. Okay, this idea that he didn't really know where he could or couldn't go. No, his response was, this is a public building, I can go where I want. He didn't care about the signage. He didn't care that he couldn't go up there. To carry out defense counsel's analogy, this is the equivalent of somebody having a sign at the edge of their yard saying, stop. Somebody entering in onto their lawn and then claiming, oh, I thought stop meant I couldn't go up to the door. No, you're on the property you can't be on. Once you pass those signs, once a security guard tells you multiple times, hey, you can't go up there, and he still continued up. this idea that there needs to be a reasonable request made. This was more than reasonable. Even if there had been no signage, just the security guard alone saying, he's a person who works here, he's a person with authority, saying, you cannot go up there, you need to come back down. And then you ignore him and you go up, you have trespassed. Signage or no. But there was signage everywhere. There's two right at the bottom of the stairs. He blew right through them. He ignored them. He ignored the security guard. This was a clear trespass. The city has an obligation to protect its employees. And you heard from those employees and how this made them feel, and the way that it made them feel unsafe, and the fact that somebody was somewhere where they shouldn't have been, and the city has a vested interest in protecting that. And they did that. They bent over backwards to do that and to convey that you cannot enter on these stairs, including posting a security guard. The defendant ignored that. He clearly trespassed, and the court should find him guilty. Excuse me, should.
Your Honor, can
Turn
I
down
just
the
have one? Your Honor, there were signs, as the state indicated, starting at the security desk. We know 3 individuals that bypassed those. The security officer indicated there were signs all on the first floor, allegedly telling people they have to sign in, they have to do this. None of that was abided by all three of these individuals that every witness here indicated. The security guard here indicated that he had no issue at all with them throughout the first floor, signing in or not, passing by signage or not. That was made clear by the security guard, that the only issue was the second floor being the unauthorized area, Your Honor. So signs or not, they're not abiding by their own signs, or they're enforcing them however they choose to, on some individuals and not on other individuals. And again, the common sense of the law sometimes has to come through. A stairwell is not meant for safekeeping, Your Honor. A stairwell has nothing in it that has a safety concern, Your Honor. And unless somebody can definitively put him in an unauthorized area, the state has not met its burden even to the slightest, Your Honor. I don't understand. It's a lot of speculation. He could have made it to the second. He could have did this. We don't have one individual that actually puts him there. And these signs that they're saying are so important, apparently everybody else bypassed those, at least the individuals he were with, and according to the security guard, there was no issue with that. The only issue came when Mr. Ruff allegedly went to the second floor, which the state cannot prove.
My understanding of the signing purpose is if you have business there and you want to go up to those offices or go into an office or have a meeting with somebody, they want you to sign in. And in this case, the officer didn't say anything to Mr. Ruff nor the other 2 individuals. He allowed all 3 of them to be on the first floor. That was his testimony. And it was only when I believe that Mr. Ruff started to go up the stairs, he told him specifically that he couldn't do that. So he was, not only were there signs, but you have a security officer who's telling you to stop. You can't go there. And based upon that reason, the court's going to deny the request for guilty.
Your Honor, once again, I have discussed with Mr. Ruff his right to testify. I've laid out that it's his absolute right to do so, that it can't be used against him if he chooses not to. Mr. Ruff has indicated to me that he does not wish to testify in this case.
Does the defense have then anything to present?
No, Your Honor, no witnesses for defense.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, I don't have a ton to add to what's already been said in Rule 20, other than the city has a vested interest in protecting certain areas of its buildings. There's certain areas where employees work. Other parts of that building are open to the public, but some are not. And the city, again, completely went overboard to convey what needs to happen and what areas you can go into and what you cannot go into. To the extent of posting signs on each side of a stairwell or stairway, and posting a security guard right there. Defendant wandered around a little bit, asked some questions of Ms. Fantasia, and then made the choice to go up the stairwell. According to the security guard's testimony, he recorded the signage before going up the stairs. Again, he's intentionally encroaching on areas that he knows have been prohibited. He just simply believes that they shouldn't be, or that it shouldn't apply to him. The security guard tells him, hey, you can't go up there. This is a public building, I can go where I want. I know better than you do. I can go where I want. The security guard continues to try to stop him. He refuses. He continues up the stairs. The security guard calls law enforcement, who eventually shows up. You heard from the individuals who were working on the second floor and how bizarre it was to see that happen. That's evidence that the vast majority of people who walk into that building know that they can't go up those stairs because it never happens. The two other individuals that were with the defendant clearly understood they can't go up those stairs. They never did it. The individuals who worked there testified that nobody goes up those stairs without an appointment. The individuals who are in that building, the signage, the security guard, it's all sufficient to convey to people where they can be and where they can't be. He chose to ignore the security guard, chose to ignore the clear signage. He trespassed on city property. The state asked you to find him guilty.
Yes, Your Honor. Without rehashing everything that we mentioned in the Rule 20, which was the crux of it, obviously at this point it's a much higher burden on the state in terms of proving this beyond any reasonable doubt at all, Your Honor. And I would just point to the fact that, again, we don't have a single individual here that could testify that Mr. Ruff went on to the unauthorized second floor, Your Honor. Again, it's a glaring element that's completely missing from the state's case. Whether or not the stairs are a protected area has not been proven at all. All we know is that the purpose of having an unauthorized area was to safeguard offices. There are no offices in this stairwell. If the officer specifically wanted him to leave the stairs for whatever reason, he could have been specific as to that. Anyone that is told stop while going up a stairs, it is a natural thought that they mean not to enter, obviously, the second floor. There's nothing where he would have been standing that was to be protected. It's a stairwell, Your Honor. Just a common sense reading of these issues it's clear that unless we even have one person putting him in a definitively unauthorized space, Your Honor, the state can't meet its burden. And again, obviously, we're not talking about a Rule 20 burden here. Now we're talking about beyond any reasonable doubt, Your Honor. And for that reason, we would ask for a finding of not guilty. Thank you, Your Honor.
Haven't heard the testimony, specifically that the security officer, as well as Ms. Fantasia, was clear that the defendant was instructed to stop. Clearly, he was told not to go any further. He was told not to go any further by the security officer in charge of that area. Mr. Ruff, for whatever reason, turned around and said, "This is a public building, I can go wherever I want." Even though he was specifically told by someone in authority not to go any further. I don't know what the end game was, but for that reason, the court finds that the state has met its burden and finds the defendant guilty.